Hey guys, Jim Richardson here from Thinkaholics. We are here at Tahoe Dreamin'. I'm here with Mary Smith, a co-founder of Capstorm. So Mary, what can you tell everybody about what you guys do?
Sure, we're in the Salesforce backup and restore area. In fact, that's where we focus. We have a backup product which looks at your Salesforce. It recreates that Salesforce table structure, table for table, field for field, standard objects, custom objects, all the different objects in Salesforce, and then loads the data. Every time Capstorm runs, fully incremental, so we're bringing down added and modified changes to your Salesforce, along with added and modified records to your Salesforce. Storing those in a relational database. The databases that we support are the standard Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres. Obviously, the applications can be run locally to your local database, giving you the most control of the security of your backups, but you could also run the applications in the cloud.
And so, like, just kind of going back, we're talking about being able to pull down your Salesforce structure,
yes,
as well as the records, right?
Yes.
And how often can you run that?
Sure, that's totally up to you. Typically, our customers will keep their backup within 15 to 30 minutes of their production Salesforce. We also have customers that keep their backups within 5 minutes of Salesforce. It really depends on your business use case and how you enter data in Salesforce.
And you guys are, you mentioned getting new records are updated, so you're just pulling down incremental changes?
That's exactly correct. Only the deltas, which is how we're able to turn around the Capstorm jobs that quickly.
And then if somebody adds like a new field or a new object, you guys go back and pull all that?
It's automatically, the field is automatically created in Salesforce, and then you can do things to pull any past data.
Gotcha.
But we typically look forward.
Okay. So, for the people that aren't familiar with, this type of tool, why do people want to do this? What's the point?
Sure. The number one reason to have a good solid backup is disaster recovery. Data issues happen. Users happen, things happen to your data, and to have a good solid backup, number one reason. Several other good reasons to have an on-site, locally available, fully accessible backup is that you can run all of those database tools with your Salesforce data. So think complex reporting, think business intelligence. When you start talking Salesforces with hundreds of millions of records, queries don't always complete.
Right.
And using the local data that's hot, so it's in close time proximity with your Salesforce, allows you to have very good reporting.
Okay. So in terms of, like pulling the data down, right? You guys help with that piece. What about getting the data back into Salesforce?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Yeah, obviously disaster recovery. We have a restore piece to the Capstorm suite of products. And the restore piece is primarily actually used to load sandboxes with targeted production data.
Okay. So like if someone needs to do a round of testing or something, they can kind of migrate the data over?
Absolutely, and it's a targeted set of data. So you can load that sandbox with data that's particularly relevant for your development project or for training new users on Salesforce. You really don't want to train new users on production data, so much nicer to train in a sandbox. And also for data migrations too. So we definitely help with, the software helps with anytime there's a Salesforce merger or those kinds of more complex issues.
So in terms of, like I know some sandboxes don't have a whole lot of space, right? So you mentioned targeted. Does that mean you can kind of control the amount?
Sure. Think of it as being able to select a set of accounts, and you control which accounts. You can say, I want to select a group of accounts that had opportunities that closed this last quarter with larger dollar amounts. Our head of sales is going to recognize that data.
Right.
And then pull in all the related list items. So with those accounts, you can pull in the contacts and the opportunities and the cases and all of that data that's connected. And that's a key point, because we don't just restore records, we rebuild those relationships.
Gotcha.
And which is a key point.
Okay. All right, so is there anything that you guys are working on that someone or everybody be interested to know about?
Yeah, Also glad you asked. We have very recently added the ability to do full field history tracking,
Nice.
which is any or all of your fields can now have that field history tracking maintained in the Capstorm database.
And Salesforce limits you there, right? That's why that's huge.
Yes, and that's why I say any or all.
Yeah.
And then we also have and are rolling out in early 2017 the ability to do full metadata backups, which will allow you to also keep history of metadata changes. So you can version that.
So, like source control in Salesforce is pretty difficult, right? And in terms of what people normally back up, they're just kind of doing data. So being able to get the metadata, if somebody like messed up a report or deployed the trigger that was bad, right?
Well, we have for a long time, in fact, since the beginning, we have backed up any metadata that's stored in tables. So things like your trigger definitions, apex pages, those are things that we've always been able to copy. And in fact, we do backup and restore of things that are actually very difficult, including knowledge and chatter and all of those kinds of objects as well. But to do the full metadata backup is new. And
Gotcha.
we are excited about rolling that out.
If people wanted to try this out, what should they do? Go to the website or?
Sure. Come and visit us at www.capstorm.com. Capstorm is available immediately for a 30-day free trial. With Capstorm Restore, we'd like to have the chance to walk through our restore process with you, and then that's also available for a 30-day free trial.
Okay, all right. Well, Mary, thanks so much for your time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your stopping by.